Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. So it's finally Thursday. It's the day before Record Store Day, Black Friday. It's taken me a good solid couple of weeks now to look at the list, kind of go over it. But I think I finally narrowed down to my most wanted titles for Record Store Day, Black Friday. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that we put together a week, and the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. So ever since the Record Store Day Black Friday list was released about a month or so back now, there's been a lot of really mixed comments, really mixed emotions on the Record Store Day Black Friday list. And, you know, I understand a lot of it because the list, it's half of what the list is for regular Record Store Day in April. You know, I think it's kind of comparable to a lot of Record Store Day Black Fridays in the past, though. There's never really a lot on the list for me. You know, and I actually think there's a couple of things on the list this year, more so than I've seen in years past. I know there's a couple of years where I only got like one or two titles for Black Friday. And initially, I want to say I had probably, there's about, I think, 10 to 15 albums I was at least considering initially when the list was released. And then as, pricing kind of slowly leaked out, it really helped narrow down my list. Now, I've got it down to, I think I've got 6 titles I'm looking for Record Store Day. There's some other ones I was considering, but because of the price and because there's one or two of them where there's 8 to 10,000 copies being pressed. So hopefully I'll be able to grab it down the line eventually. But for Record Store Day, whether it's in April or Black Friday, I really try to stay around my budget. And really, of the things I've got on my list, I don't think there's anything that's going to be like a really huge mover for Black Friday. So, typically on Record Store Day, whether it's in April or Black Friday, I go out to the record store like super early. I'll get there at, midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning, get all set up and sit there and wait for my record store to open up at 8 a.m. and get what I'm looking for. But this year, I don't know. I think I'm going to wait a little bit later. Maybe I'll wait till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning before I head out. Just because I don't think I have to be like really early there. I don't be there like super early. I don't think I need to be there like one of the first people in line to get what I'm looking for this year. So like I said, there are a couple of RSD titles that I decided to pass on. At least we'll see what happens when I get to the record store. But at least as of now, I'm deciding to pass on either because the price is a little high for me, or I think I should be able to get them later on down the line, at roughly retail price or maybe a little bit cheaper on a couple of them. But one is Olivia Rodrigo, Guts, the Secret Tracks. I'm a huge fan of her new album. It's a great album. But this thing's around about $23 to $25. There's only 4 tracks on it. There's 6,000 copies that's going to be available. So I think this should be available for a while. So it'll be one that maybe I'll try to grab. Maybe if I can get a discounted price off of Discogs eventually, maybe I'll grab a copy of it. There's always a bunch of great jazz releases coming out for Record Store Day. Like I said, either in April or Black Friday. But they tend to be kind of odd the way they go. They either sell pretty quick, or you can get them for several months later. So one that I'm going to hopefully grab eventually is Eric Dolphy, Iron Man. There's a little over 2,000 copies available. It's going to run you about $30. It is an RSD exclusive, but I don't think this is one that's going to move really fast. So we'll see. If I end up missing on it, it's okay. I mean, it is a really great jazz album. It was one I was looking forward to, but because of some of the other albums I'm going to grab, I decided to maybe pass on that one and hopefully grab it down the line. Another great album is Willie Nelson's Shotgun Willie. I think this is a 50th anniversary release I think they're doing for Record Store Day. It's going to run you about $35. It's a deluxe edition. It's got a second LP with some alternate tracks on there, some outtakes. Really great album from Willie, but this is another one where I think it's going to sit on shelves for a little bit longer. Hopefully I'll be able to grab one, within a few weeks, maybe a month, I'll grab a copy of it. And then one I know it's going to be a big mover for Record Store Day, but there's 10,000 copies going to be available, so I think I should be able to grab it for a while. Is Linkin Park Lost Demos. It's like $25, which isn't a bad price for an RSD title, but like I said, 10,000 copies. I think I should be able, like I said, either in my record store or in Discogs, be able to grab a copy at some point. So when Record Store Day pricing started leaking out last month, I did a whole video about how I was kind of irritated. Thought it was a little ridiculous what they were going to charge for a couple of those RSD titles. And at that time, I said I needed some time to kind of sit on it and think about what I wanted to do, if I was going to pick them up, if I was going to grab them. Like I said, I always try to keep it under a budget for Record Store Day. And a couple of those titles, if I grabbed them, they were going to eat up quite a bit of my budget. So I ultimately decided I'm going to probably grab two of them. The two of the ones I complained about. The first one was Lil Wayne, I Am Music. It's an RSD exclusive. There's 5,000 copies of it. It's on red vinyl. It's going to run you about $51. So initially, when I looked at the list, this was initially listed as an RSD first, which meant it was going to get reissued down the line. So I was like, oh, if I don't grab it for Record Store Day, maybe when they reissue it, I can grab a copy of it. But it's now listed as an RSD exclusive, so I don't think it's going to get reissued. Sometimes they do. Maybe they'll list things as an exclusive, and then a year or two later, here's a black version of it, and or they'll change the cover on it or something like that. Something to kind of distinguish it from the RSD release, which I get is kind of skirting around the RSD rules, but that's what they do with some releases. So I initially was going to pass on this, like I said, because it was an RSD first. But because it's an RSD exclusive, man, it is $51. It's a lot, but I'm a huge fan of Lil Wayne. I don't have any of his music on vinyl. If you do grab a copy of one of his albums that is available, they tend to go for quite a bit. So for just like a compilation, I decided to kind of just deal with the high price and grab that copy. Another one that I decided to grab that I complained about in that video is this 21st Century Liability from Youngblood. It's a great album. I think it's dumb that he's doing a 5-year anniversary. There should be no anniversary releases under 10 years. Like, I think 10 years should be the cutoff. This is good. This is a little bit expensive though. Like I said, it's going to run you about $46. It is an RSD exclusive. There's 4,000 copies of it. It comes with a signed insert, which I get. That's probably why they're charging more money than they really should for this album. It was never a huge release when it came out. I mean, it is a great album. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's definitely worth checking out. $46 though is a lot for an album. So when the RSD list first got released, there was one album that I saw right away that I was like, I gotta have this one. It's a fantastic album. It's a very overlooked album, and if you don't know this album by this band, all you know is their like later stuff. You'd probably be really surprised on how this album sounds. But this is the self-titled debut album from the Goo Goo Dolls. It's a RSD exclusive. There's 3,200 copies of it. It's going to be on red and clear vinyl. It's going to run you about $30. And like I said, if all you know is like the later stuff from the Goo Goo Dolls, their first two albums are very different. Very much like late 80s punk rock albums. Very different than songs like Name and Iris and all the other like radio-friendly stuff that the band would do later in their career. They started out as like I said, very much a straightforward kind of punk rock band. And it's this album is great. This is a fantastic album, and one that I think definitely is worth revisiting. There's also another great compilation on here, Punk Goes Christmas, which there's always a bunch of great compilation albums for Record Store Day. But this is like the only one I really saw that I wanted to have. This is going to run about $33. It's going to be on translucent green vinyl. 2 LPs at 45 RPM. It's a great compilation. It's celebrating its 10th anniversary. I had this on CD back when it was first released. Some great bands on here. You got Yellow Card, All Time Low, Newfound Glory, punk bands like that. Like it's 10 years ago. So, 2014, like 2010s punk rock kind of vibe to it. So it's a little bit differently than like the 90s stuff or early 2000s stuff. But it's a great album. They do some great covers on there. And it's, like I said, for $30, I think it's definitely one that I had to have on my list. So I was never a big Post Malone fan until he released Austin earlier this year. And ever since then, I've definitely gotten more into his music. I think I have all of his albums on vinyl now. But, he's released a bunch of great music over his career. He actually holds the record for the most diamond singles. I think there's 18 of them that he's released across his career. So there's a compilation coming out for Record Store Day Black Friday. Post Malone, the Diamond Collection. It's all 18 of those tracks across 2 LPs. It's an RSD exclusive. There's 10,000 copies of this. So it's for $40. It's one I definitely want to grab. But this is one of those ones where if there's 10,000 copies of it, if I miss out on it for Record Store Day, it's one that I should be able to grab off of Discog. So even though I do have it on my want list, it's really the only one that's like, well, if I miss out on it, it's okay, because I know I'll get a copy of it eventually. So, that kind of ends the 5 titles, at least the 5 vinyl titles that I really want to grab. There is one CD that's coming out that I was really excited for. Another one of those I had to have on my list right away as soon as I saw it was getting released. This is Dr. Dre, The Chronic. It's an RSD exclusive. There's 4,000 copies of it. This is going to be a CD, but it's going to be in the long box. So that's kind of the thing that really kind of piqued my interest in it. It's a little kind of expensive for a CD. It's going to run you about $28. This also includes collectible rolling papers, which I don't really care about that, but I love the long box, and I really wish that they would release more CDs that way. I just love the way the artwork looks on it, and that's kind of a little bit more of a collectible piece that comes with the CD. So, it's a great album. I actually don't have it on CD anymore, so I need a copy of it on CD anyway. So it's a great time for me to grab one. So those are the 6 titles I have at the top of my must-have list for Record Store Day Black Friday. We'll see what I end up walking out with. We'll see if I get all 6 of those. Maybe I'll grab a couple other things. Maybe, or like I said, if I miss out on that Post Malone, maybe I'll grab something else. We'll see what I end up with. I'm actually going to go to 2 record stores on Black Friday. One is having a big sale on a bunch of used stuff, so we'll see if I can grab some cool used albums also. But let me know what you guys are doing for Black Friday. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.